Hi, scripties. Welcome back to the Scripts and Screens podcast. This is season 2, episode 15. I'm your host, Imani Nicole.
And I'm Shauna Robinson. So what's new, Imani? Tell us what's going on.
So I was getting I have the Apple News set up on my phone, and there was this really interesting article that had popped up, and it's called Artificial Justice. So there is a movie from Spain and Portugal where they're basically looking at a case where the jury is AI. And the question forms, would you rather be judged by humans or AI? And it's in the works. But I thought that was so interesting, and I think so on brand with just the whole AI movement, as well as people saying that the jury sometimes can have that bias, and technically AI can't be biased. So what would you rather if you were on trial? Would you rather be judged by humans or AI?
I don't know, because I feel like they're both still biased. Because I was reading something and they asked AI to show a black man or a white man, and it showed some bias because AI pulls from something. So since it's already biased,
something
in the
sets
world,
its base. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Right. So I don't know. I don't know, because then at the jury, you can kind of appeal to their feelings and their emotions, but if AI doesn't have that,
it doesn't have it at all.
I don't know. I'd just rather not be a court.
Plea deal me, please.
Right. Well, yeah, no, that's interesting.
It is. It really is. I'm with you. I don't know which would be worse. Maybe a mix of half and half. And that if they can't come to a conclusive agreement, then it just become a retrial. I don't know. But I do see where there could be benefits to that, because I do think sometimes there are trials where it's the jury, was swayed by something that it shouldn't have been swayed by. And
true. Yeah, like the news or something, even though that's supposed to be.
Right. And and the fact that they get to go home, it's just how do you know what they're doing when they go home? That's the crazy part to me, is and they can have their phones. How do you know people aren't sending them things? It's just way too much. Humans are not that disciplined. So I just don't see how it can work.
It's supposed to be a jury of your peers. So is it going to be AI, young black women?
True.
How is it going to be a jury of my peers? Is it the specific AI type? Is she going to be, or he,
Yeah. So many questions.
We'll probably see it,
that was interesting. Yeah, we'll see.
In our lifetime, it'll definitely happen.
Yeah, it'll probably come on Netflix.
All right. So our first, it's not a pick. It was actually recommended to us by Shayla, is Challengers. Tashi, a tennis player turned coach, has transformed her husband from mediocre player into a world famous Grand Slam champion. To jolt him out of his recent losing streak, she makes him play a challenger event, close to the lowest level of tournaments on the pro tour. Tensions soon run high when he finds himself standing across the net from her once promising, now burnt out, Patrick, his former best friend, and Tashi's former boyfriend. Rotten Tomatoes rated this 88%, and IMDb gave it a 7.2 out of 10. I have never seen a love triangle this open and intense on screen before. It was just very strange to me. At this point, I feel like they could have just been a throuple straight out of high school. That very first night they met, and they were both trying to get at her. They might as well just made it a throuple and moved on with their lives.
Yeah, the movie wasn't how I thought it would be. This is one of those movies where I feel like you saw everything you needed to see in the trailer. Which I'm always scared about that when I watch trailers. I don't want them to give it all away, but there was really no everything you could see in the trailer. It's literally everything in the trailer. The only thing you don't see is the very last scene, which still we don't have closure from. But yeah, I would agree more on the IMDb side of it. I don't think it's a B+ at all. A good 7.2, 72 out of 100 sounds about right to me.
I can agree with that too. The trailer did show a lot, but I think the plot is different, or the story that they're trying to tell is different than the one that we were expecting, which I didn't realize until the end, because I went into it thinking it was going to tell one story, and then it turned around and told another one. But I do think the director Luca Guadagnino, along with Zendaya, Mike Foss, and Josh O'Connor, did a great job telling the story that this is. I don't know. I'll explain later. But I did enjoy the cinematography and the use of the camera angles. And that was something I noticed 30 seconds in, right off the bat, the way they were switching the cameras up. I was like, okay, that's cool. Which made sense for a tennis movie, because there's a lot of movement and they use that POV to really show a lot. That and the music scores. Now, Shayla, she had stated that she did feel like it was cinematically pleasing, but she said that the time jumps were confusing for her. And she also said, why was it necessary for us to stare at every character for 2 minutes before something big happened?
I never noticed that, but that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have an answer for that. But for some reason, I did expect this to be in chronological order. And
Yeah,
I'm
they were
surprised that it
all back
was
and forth.
back and forth. I was very surprised by that. Shayla also asked, how did we feel about the relationship between Tashi and Art and then Tashi and Patrick? And then she asked, did we feel like she really loved either one? I feel like Tashi only loved tennis. I would say that she loved tennis more than herself, but I really think she viewed her and tennis as one, low key. Like I felt like she was obsessed with that. I
Hmm.
felt bad for Art because I felt like she was constantly had the upper hand in the relationship, and Art was like fighting for his life to stay in her good graces. I do think she found Patrick more interesting than Art, maybe because he wasn't so much of a pushover, but she didn't love him
Hmm.
either. She only loved what he could do for her. In an example, we saw her sleeping with Patrick to try to ensure that he throws the match so that her husband can feel better about themselves so they can continue to thrive as a tennis couple. So I'm just like, I don't think she loved either one of them. It was just who was
Yeah.
convenient and who could do what she wanted them to do at that moment.
Yeah,
What do you think?
I don't think she loved either one, but I feel like she did want Art though, because I feel like even when they were sitting in the hotel room, she kind of geared it towards him to like win. But like
Mm-hmm.
we see that Patrick actually ends up winning and they end up dating, but I felt like in the hotel room that she wanted it to be Art. But I do feel like she
Mm-hmm.
only liked tennis. I don't think she loved either one.
Right.
Um and I don't even know if either one of them really loved her either. Like, I don't know. Like, you could tell that he just
Really?
kind of was a pushover. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I don't think so. And I think that like they had a kid, so like that made it harder. But I feel like if they didn't have a kid, like I do think that Art would have had a kind of a different perspective, a different viewpoint.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't I don't know. It was a
Mm-hmm.
weird dynamic with all of them, but
Oh, like I said, it was just
yeah.
weird. It was weird.
Yeah.
So, being that she didn't love either one of them, if you were Tashi and you were in her shoes and you had to pick, like you got these two guys trying to talk to you, who do you think you would have went with?
I would have went with Art. That's very easy for me.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, Patrick was weird as like just weird, and like even when she called him out saying like you're like trying to, you can't afford to eat, like just go like yeah, that like that's to me is weird and lame and just entirely too much. So
Mm-hmm.
I just there was so many things about Patrick that I just did not like, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it was just
Mm-hmm.
weird. Patrick was a weird guy, like a very weird
Yeah.
guy, and I
And
just wasn't feeling him.
she just could not let it go though. Like she just I don't know. She had to keep him around just
She
in her
just liked the
pocket.
attention.
Yeah, I think she loved that attention. Which is ironic because she was getting so much. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
she literally was on the cover of Adidas at what, 18, a senior in high school. Like doing
Yeah,
all that
but
stuff.
that's a different kind of attention, you
Still
know?
though, I'm
It's
sure
a
it was a
different
lot of
kind
other
of
men.
attention.
I'm sure it was men.
I don't know. I feel like they were obsessed with her though, like especially Art. Like Art wasn't
Yeah.
gonna mess with nobody. Patrick, I think, would still talk to other women. I don't think Art
Right.
would.
Right. Oh no. I was stuck. I was
Yeah,
stuck.
Art fell in love with the idea of them
Hmm.
and just let her be the conductor of their relationship.
Yes. Yes. So sad. But yeah.
So for me, I
Excuse
feel like the last scene was such a disappointment, and
me.
I wanted to ask you if you could rewrite it, how would you have had it end?
Hmm. So I don't think I would change anything,
Mm.
but that's only because, like I was saying earlier, I think I was expecting the film to tell one story and it told another one. Like for the trailer, for some reason, I thought it was like a comeback story for Zendaya's character Tashi. But then once I started watching it, I'm like, okay, so it's going to be either a comeback story for Art or Patrick. But I realized
Mm.
at the end, it was a comeback story for their friendship. So,
Mm.
um, I think that if they would have had an ending, it would have took away from that. Um, because like I didn't realize it literally until the last scene when he did the whole little thing with the net, not the net, the
Yeah,
rack
the
where he put
racket
the
to show he
ball.
had sex with her because that's what they did when they were
Right,
kids. Like, do it
right,
if you guys had sex. Serve like me
right.
if
If
yeah.
he, yeah. So once I saw that, I was like, oh, okay. So that let him know, like, because I know Art knew that he would lose to Patrick. I feel like he knew that the whole time, and Zendaya, sorry, Tashi knew that too. So once he did that, I think that was signaling to him like, I slept with Tashi, and that's why this game is that close. So it let Art basically know his wife would do anything for a win. So ultimately, it didn't really matter who won the game because they won in the end by not letting Tashi win. That's what I think the
Mm.
director was trying to tell
But
us.
she seemed excited that they did that, so I don't know.
I don't know
She seemed
either.
hyped
Like,
to me.
yeah, I
Like when
couldn't
they just
tell.
decided to just like hug, she looked excited.
Yeah,
I
I
did
don't.
not get pissed from her. I did not get like I just got that she looked happy. Like I
Yeah.
was so confused.
I think, but you know what? I think also she was happy because, earlier in the movie, she was like, tennis is like a relationship. She was like, me and that girl, we basically were in a relationship when we were playing tennis. And I think that's the first time she probably really saw them be in that quote unquote tennis relationship. So because
Mhm.
she kept saying, I just want to see good tennis. I just want to see good tennis. And I think that
Mhm.
very last scene, she was
Was
finally
them
seeing the good
playing really good
tennis that
tennis?
she wanted. So because she's so obsessed with tennis, I think that's probably why she wasn't pissed because she's like, all right, finally, whoever won, lost, she saw some good tennis where they actually felt like they
Yeah.
were feeling it. Now, if I
Mhm.
were to tell the story of Patrick's comeback, I would have rewrote it and had him throw the game, but without him indicating that Art had slept with that he had slept with her, slept with
Mm.
Tashi. Um, he would do the game, and then Tashi would have become his coach after Art finished the season, and then they would have went on and had a successful season together. Now, if it was an Art comeback story, I would have had him beat Patrick fair and square, like really start playing, really win.
Mhm.
But again, I feel like both of those endings would have left their friendship unresolved. So I think
Mm.
that's really, they just wanted to focus on the fact that these guys were friends before they met her. She came in their lives, broke them up essentially,
Mhm.
and now they're back together. So,
Okay. Yeah, if I would have rewrote it, I would have basically had it where they played it and whoever won. So it was like he
hmm
served to show that that happened, but they both were at it competing. And I
hmm
would have hoped for Art to win.
right.
Art
I was
win,
for Art.
get a divorce from Tashi, be
hmm
done, and then go and win the US Open without her. And her just see,
hmm
like, I don't need you to do this. Like, I can do this on my
Yeah.
own. I've got my daughter, the love of my daughter, and I'm good. And I'm
hmm
going to find somebody that's okay with retiring and actually having like a life that's not revolved around a sport and
Right.
that there's more to life than just tennis. And I
Right.
think that's what I think Art did all that just so that they could get to the point where they could retire and chill, but that was not on Tashi's radar at all.
Yeah.
So I that would have how I would have liked it to end was like basically the serve told him like yes that his friend slept with his wife, but they would battle it out. Art would actually win and prove everyone wrong that he could beat Patrick, and then he would
hmm
go and win the U.S. Open too on top of it, and then have won all of the ones that make you basically agree.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But
That
we
Tashi
are
was
left
something
to
else.
just feel it
Yeah.
ourselves. Yeah,
She was
Zendaya
something
was all over
else.
the place.
hmm
Okay, moving into our first plot and pop pick, we did Bad Monkey, which is on Apple TV, and we're just
hmm
reviewing season one, the first 5 episodes. This series is about a former Miami Police Department member turned health inspector, Andrew Yancey, which is played by Vince Vaughn. He investigates a case involving a human arm. He navigates through eccentric characters and unexpected challenges, all while dealing with his own personal struggles. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a score of 93%, and IMDb gave it a 7.4 out of 10. How did you feel about this series?
I really enjoy it so far, and I don't feel like I'm gonna switch the second half and not like it. But
Yeah,
I really appreciate so much about the show. First of all, I especially like when they take like two separate storylines and like intertwine them, especially when they don't seem like they will be connected at all.
right.
Neville all the way over here in the Bahamas, and then Vince Vaughn's character, Andrew, a freaking cop in wherever Key West. So yeah, I really like that. Also love the characters, which I think each one of them has a very defined personality and motive, even down to characters like Dr. Izzy O'Pill, the doctor that he was working with,
Hmm.
Christopher. You can see his decline to becoming an addict. And I feel like details like that really help keep a show moving. But it's like a
Hmm.
lot of details, but it's not too much where it overwhelms you and you can't keep up.
Right.
And the fact that Bonnie is not only a cheater but a sex offender is so random, but but a
Yes.
creative character type. Like, who would even think of that and why? But it works. And
Yes.
then Vince Vaughn, of course, I love him. Him as the main character of Yancey is perfect. And then Jodie Turner Smith is so pretty. Like, I just enjoy seeing her on my screen with her
Yeah.
Dragon Queen.
Yes.
character she
Yeah, I
added.
love this show too. Vince Vaughn never disappoints. I don't know anything that he's in that I haven't enjoyed.
Right.
I agree that the writing really shines in this series because I'm equally invested in both stories, Yancey's and
Mm-hmm.
Neville's. And they seamlessly brought the two stories together, which I don't think is
Right.
done cinematically often well.
Right.
And I like that we're able to see it in real time. And like they started it in, you know, back, then brought it together. Like, it just is really, really good on how they did that.
Mm-hmm. You know, I definitely agree. The seamlessly, we're gonna talk about it later, but I think the next thing we watched, I don't think that was seamlessly brought together.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it
but
wasn't.
the fact that Christopher and Nick are the same person really threw me. Like I was not expecting that. I feel like I need a man in my life that's willing to cut off his arm to
Lord
commit
have
insurance
mercy.
fraud to buy me a resort in the Bahamas.
Lord, Lord, Lord. You like a toxic child.
Oh,
Oh my gosh. You're about to be on one of them incarceration shows, Prison Bride, Jailbirds,
no,
Love During
because
Lockup.
no, because they're not good at what they do. I need them to be good with it, like not get caught.
Lord, Lord. A scene
Anyway.
that was wild to me was when Rosa, who's the coroner, who we, see Yancey and her work together on the case, was wearing
Mhm.
the dead girl's top to a dinner
Yes.
date and wore it so comfortably. And then when Yancey was in his inspector role and he told everyone that there's rats in the soup and they literally look at him, listen, and ignore him and resume eating. That was crazy to me too.
Oh,
Ignorance is bliss though, because I am sure that so many of the places we eat regularly, we don't want to go in that kitchen. We probably wouldn't eat there again.
yeah. It's so disgusting. It's yeah.
Yeah, it is.
No, Mm-mm. But you see, Neville's sister's restaurant was clean.
It was,
It
yep.
was
She got a high
clean.
score.
Yes.
She did. Only thing
Right.
holding her back was the monkey in the kitchen.
Right, and that wasn't even hers. He was like, "It
Right.
don't matter.
It
The monkey
won't.
in the kitchen. I don't care whose monkey it is. It's in the kitchen. It needs to get
No,
out of the kitchen."
literally.
Okay, so as we reach the midpoint of the season, we see that Nick slash Christopher essentially chooses his greedy, spoiled wife Eve over his daughter Caitlin. We also see that Rosa and Andrew are having a romantic relationship, and Neville has lost possession of the USB drive that will incriminate Nick slash Christopher and probably get him his land back. Do you have any predictions for the second half of the season?
The daughter is going to give up information on her dad and Evie, but only
Mm-hmm.
if she can get immunity for her dad. I do think she still has a soft spot for her dad and she doesn't like
Mm-hmm.
want anything to happen to him, but she hates Evie, so she doesn't care. I
Yeah.
think Neville is either going to kill Egg or Nick incidentally somehow. I think that when he shoots Egg, that's kind of like a foreshadow. I think that there might be another square off between Neville and Egg.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Yancey will have to cut Bonnie off since him and Rosa are really officially together now.
I'm ready for
I
that. I'm ready for that.
Yeah, I love them together. I
Yeah.
also think Evie is going to kill someone else. We see she killed Heather with the weather to prove to
Mm-hmm.
Chris that he's not alone. But the guilt is catching up with Chris. It's not catching up with Evie, but the guilt is catching up with Chris slash
Mm-hmm.
Nick, which we see when Evie has him kill the doctor. And that was his
Mm-hmm. His
best
best
friend.
friend.
So he has no
Crazy.
limits. So I believe her hands are going to get dirtier. What
I
about
think
you? What
so
do you
too.
think?
I think so too. And she hasn't done half as much as he's done
Yeah, she
to
hasn't.
like she's had him do a lot. Like he literally lost an arm.
Yeah,
And they
it's
say it's gonna
insane.
cost me an arm and a leg. They really meant it with him. He
No,
lost
they
it.
really did. No,
But I
literally.
think
He's how that
that
saying came about.
right, right. I think that Caitlin will team up with Nancy to help take down her dad and Eve. Now that you said
Hmm.
something about immunity, I think that is a possibility too. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think she has a soft spot for him. But then I feel like at the same time, she's like really pissed. But so we'll see. Um,
Yeah.
but I also predict that the magic that Neville paid Gracie, the Dragon Queen, for Lord, will start to manifest itself
Yeah, we haven't
because
really seen that yet.
yeah, at all. And I think it's really like they keep foreshadowing, like it's
Hmm.
bigger than you. It's a lot. So I'm
Yeah.
really interested on what will happen because they've already like he's lost the land. Um, I really just don't
He don't
know
got nothing else to
how it could show
lose.
itself.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Yeah.
what's gonna happen? Like people are literally just gonna start dying. Like I don't know. So but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very excited. I really enjoy this show, guys. You guys should go watch it. It's on Apple
Yeah, it's so good.
TV. It's still got I think no, all the episodes are not out yet. I think
Yeah,
it
they're
comes
not out yet. They're not
I
all
think
out yet. But they're
Wednesday.
getting ready to be. I think we have like a week or
Right.
two and then there's one episode left. So
Right,
because I
right. So,
watched the ninth episode and now I'm just waiting on the very last one. So
okay, gotcha. But yeah, go watch it.
yes,
Act like it.
stream. Let us know what you guys think about it.
Right. All right, so our very last one was Lady in the Lake. When the disappearance of a young girl grips the city of Baltimore on Thanksgiving 1966, the lives of two women, Maddie Schwartz and Cleo Johnson, converge on a fatal collision course. The series stars Natalie Portman and Moses Ingram. What did you think about this one?
This show dragged for me. Like, it took me a while to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I got excited because Natalie Portman's in it, and I think she does fairly well. But lately, the few things that she's put out, like, I just haven't, she has not had me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
May, December, we were going to review that, but then I, like, watched it and I was like, yeah, never mind, let's not review it, even though it had, like, a really good concept.
Mm-hmm.
You have to stick with this. This is a slow burn. You do start to see it pick up about end of episode 3 going into episode 4, but a lot of times I feel like you won't be able to get that much grace from the audience. I don't think you can get
Right.
audiences to dedicate that time. And I mean, we didn't watch this when it was coming out, so I don't know if it was releasing episode week by week or if they were all released at one time, but I can tell you if this was a week by week, I would have fell off like week
Yeah.
2. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have made it to get it through the whole series. But since it's all up and I can continuously go through, it does make it more motivating to watch. And I will say, like, getting to the end of it, it was worth it. It was, a good, like, the last half is
Mm-hmm.
pretty good. What
Yeah.
did you think about it?
No, I definitely agree because I normally can like binge watch a show a few episodes at a time, but with this, like I'd watch an episode and go, oh, I need a break. Like
Mm-hmm.
I need to watch something else and then come back. Until about midway, like you said. Once it got to about episode 4, 5-ish, whatever, it did pick up to where I could just keep watching it straight through. And
Yeah.
unlike Bad Monkey, this had two different storylines, but I feel like they did not mix well. In
Yeah.
Bad Monkey, I felt like the stories were separate, but Andrew and Neville essentially had a common goal. In this
Mm-hmm.
show, I basically it's just like two women living in the same city coexisting. Like they cross
Yeah.
paths, but I feel like I don't know, their stories just did not go together for me. Um,
Yeah.
they definitely could have done that entire show with them ever not ever crossing paths. Like
Yes. Agreed.
it
It
didn't
wasn't
actually
necessary.
right. The presence of one did not determine what the other one was doing.
Yeah.
Um I did enjoy Moses Ingram's character Cleo, but it was hard for me to really connect with Natalie Portman's character Maddie. I was
Yeah.
done with Maddie after she sent those pictures to the man in the psych hospital, the convicted killer.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, girl,
Yeah.
all
Like, what do you
right,
have going on? And
right,
speaking of Maddie and her weirdness, like, yeah, I think she was willing to do anything for a story. And I think that's why she sent those pictures, which is just like, you need to have like
hmm
a line. You need like
yeah,
where you're not going to cross.
right,
And I think she played on the fact that he would probably find her attractive, which is
hmm
weird.
hmm
But it came back to bite her when he came through that window that she kept open for Mr. Officer. Um,
hmm
and then he had her pinned to the ground, and that was so scary. Like I had so much anxiety for her because that's like the scariest thing was like leaving your door unlocked, whatever. You already know that someone's coming later, and then it's someone just taking a chance to open your door and it's unlocked, and then it's
right,
just and as a woman who's living by herself, like that was all just very, very, very crazy, and that gives me
hmm
just so much. That's like one of my biggest fears because I feel
hmm
like home is where you're supposed to feel safe.
right. Yeah, her police boot definitely told her lock the window,
He
lock the
did.
window. He kept telling her, and
He
she
did.
didn't listen. So.
She really did not.
Mm-mm.
How did you feel about Maddie
Mhm.
weaponizing her son's paternity?
I really have been trying to understand Maddie and her reasonings, but it's like trying to argue and reason with a crackhead at this point. Like
Yeah.
I just can't and won't do it. Like it's certain people, like it's like trying to reason with a crackhead or try to
Yeah.
understand. And I think I'm putting Maddie in that same category.
Yeah.
Um, it seemed to come out of left field. Like I don't think anything in that conversation warranted her to reveal that in that moment. Like
It didn't.
did you think so?
I
Like
didn't think
nothing.
so. Like it was like, girl, what? Like, huh?
Yeah.
And I
Like
felt like it was only because he was so disrespectful, but he had been disrespectful.
the whole time. Because I was
Yeah,
feeling bad
like
for her at
from
first.
scene one.
Yeah, at first I was feeling bad for her because I'm like, why are they treating, especially when they threw out her meal? I forgot what happened to it, but they was like, we can no
Yeah,
longer
with the
accept
dad,
this.
yeah. The
So
turkey or
yeah,
the roast that she went and
yeah,
got from across town.
right.
Yeah.
And they just threw it out, and then the son's like defending the dad. Like, okay, at first I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this little boy's an asshole, but
Yeah.
yeah, at that moment, it was nothing I felt like was said or done that warranted that big news drop at that time.
Yeah. So
I was
crazy.
very confused. What did you think?
So I felt so bad for the son in that moment. Like
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning, I felt like he was such a brat, but as I got to know Maddie's character, he still owes his mom respect, but I can see why he read her for filth. Like,
Right.
because ultimately she was more concerned with the death of her former lover's kid than the state of her own son's mental. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that the son still acknowledged, like she thought that that was really going to kill him. And I love that he was stood 10 toes down for his not real daddy. Like
Right.
Milton was the man that raised him, and he did not care that if that was his dad or not. And I think it even kind of reminds me of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, where like that's the only man he's known. So he has so much in common with this man that you
Mm-hmm.
telling him that another man is his dad really has no play here because okay, like I don't know that man, I don't know how he is, I don't know his mannerisms, so it's really irrelevant to me.
Right. Right. Definitely. Um, and like she almost said it as if it was something Milton did wrong. Is that yeah, the dad did
Yeah,
wrong.
that's the
Like
dad's name. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, like you're telling him this, like he's supposed to feel some type of way towards Milton. Like if anything, that makes him
Right.
not like you any better
Right. Like
because
you
you
kept this
have
from
him in this.
me.
Yeah, you kept it and you got us in the situation. But even though we see less of his character than Maddie's, I definitely felt more connected to her son Seth than to
Yeah.
her. Like
Agreed.
I was not, I was not a fan of Maddie at all.
Yeah, me either. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't. There was not a moment where I was rooting for her.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also see that her son Seth ripped up her diary, which is
Mm-hmm.
where he had already read that Milton wasn't his daddy. So, jokes on you. I already knew that man wasn't my dad.
Right, right.
So what would you do if your son or daughter ripped up your diary?
I think I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
I'd be pissed in this day and age, but like I think especially now with like Maddie because diaries meant a lot to Jewish women at that time. Like literally
Hmm.
the most famous Jewish woman we know, we were taught due to her diary. They mentioned Anne Frank a few times, and this was just a few years after World War II, so obviously
Hmm.
she's still very relevant. And then like she also gave like the landlord's daughter a famous diary of a French writer. So I think that
Hmm.
just was a way personal stories of women was emphasized in this
Yeah.
show, which made sense because it was about two parallel
Women.
stories of
Yep.
women. Um, I do believe Betty's whole existence was to tell the story of an underrepresented person, whether that be Tessie, Stephen, Cleo, or herself. So I think like I don't even know what I'm about to say, Money. I gotta. I've been pissed. I'm sorry. I had a thought and it just left. It just left.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like she really prized her story, but essentially like it's inside of her. So even with him ripping the
Yeah.
diary, like you can still write it. But I
Yeah.
think also you can't have life altering information just laying around where someone can find it like that. So I
Right.
do
Be
get
so
Seth
for real.
too. Yeah, I do get Seth too because clearly it wasn't hidden where he could find it and just read about his
Hmm.
paternity. Like it's I don't know.
Yeah.
But would you have been pissed?
I would have been pissed. And if I'm Seth, I would have done the same thing. Maddie had no bottom line. And when she asked the son, like, do you think I would write about you? And he said, yeah, she claimed she wouldn't, but I don't believe her. Maddie is a
Mm-hmm.
liar. And like, literally, she puts herself first before everything.
Yeah.
And I'm sure years down the line, when like she's wrote all these great stories and she's retired, she would have wrote a memoir. And in that memoir, it would have been those diary excerpts that talk about how her
Mm-hmm.
son's dad wasn't his dad and he didn't know that growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And there would have been a whole chapter dedicated to her infidelity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like the diary is a symbolic thing because, like I said it earlier, the stories are in her.
Hmm.
But I wonder, like, where do you draw the line, like, between where my story ends and yours starts? Like, for example, like you said, down the line, she's writing about his paternity,
Hmm.
but it's like his story too. So, do you have the
Yeah.
right
To even
to
discuss
do
it.
that? So,
Yeah.
I don't know. But knowing her, she ain't gonna care. But
Right.
just like in general.
She ain't gonna think twice about Seth's ass.
Yeah, at all. At all. Mm-mm.
How did you feel? We've been talking so much about Maddie, and I think most of the audience can tell we were not big fans, but
At all.
how do you feel about the character Maddie if you could, really describe how you feel about her into words?
She's just a shitty person. Like
Yeah.
it's no way I can put it. We can start off with the fact that she was pregnant by father and son. Like your potential child's brother also being his stepdaddy is diabolical.
It's insane.
Like and then I feel like she embodied every negative stereotype of those well-meaning white women. Like every
Hmm.
single one. Like she used her white woman tears to literally commit insurance fraud. with her wedding
Yep.
ring. She used Officer Platt just for his big black, you know what. And then she kept trying to play. She just kept trying to play like the white savior role, like
Mm-hmm.
when her own house was not in order. I think that's
At
what really
all.
got me. Like it'd be different if she had like this. Not no one is perfect, but like this pristine little boring life, and she's at home
Mm-hmm.
bored. But it's like your house is all over the place, and you worried
No,
about what Cleo
literally.
going on. And I don't know. I felt like she was
Everybody's
just
business but your own.
right. And I just felt like she was spiraling out of control, like she was hitting a midlife crisis or something. I don't know what she was going through, but no, not a fan. Not a fan.
Yeah. No, I agree with all of that. I think she was very prejudiced and manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
Her journey to the end illustrates all of this. When she lived a relatively low income lifestyle, she wanted to be seen with the cop and go out and enjoy dinner and be
Mm-hmm.
seen together. And when he lost his job and she was still begging for work, she was willing to confess, but the cop told her no, she would go to jail. So he wouldn't let her.
Right.
And now this is what I think would have happened with Mel, the same way she like when we talked about How to Die Alone. I
Mm-hmm.
think if Mel would have confessed her feelings and if Alex would have came back ready to give his all, she wouldn't be ready. And we see this when Maddie goes to the officer's house one last time to say she's moving to Pikesville, which is so crazy because I know where Pikesville, Maryland is,
Mm-hmm.
and denies him to help her with her car. She basically says she would love to see him again, but only through the window for sex, which is
Yeah.
crazy to me because
Mm-hmm.
she looks all sad. But ultimately, she's a user.
Mm-hmm.
And now that she wrote that story for Cleo, she's back on her high horse again. And she's got her money, and it's a problem now to be with a Negro, and she doesn't want to be seen with him out in public. She doesn't want a relationship with him because it's so funny because she says, like, I thought that she was going to say, like, we can be together, but I just don't want to get married again, but like we can do all the things that couples do. But she
Right.
was like, no, I really hope you come by my window sometime. Like,
Right.
girl, what? And I think it just highlights her prejudice in her mind when she asked Cleo, like, well, she didn't ask, but she said, I think we would have been friends. And, if the circumstances were different. And
Mm-hmm.
Cleo basically asked what circumstances, because like the whole thing is like, we should be able to be cool regardless. Like, it's not like segregation was a thing. Like, yes, people were still very much racist, but there wasn't like a law banning
Right.
you for being, so it's just like at the end of the day, like, you don't want to deal with me if I'm not in that elitist group that you're in. And we see
Mm-hmm.
that, like when she was down low, I love Black people. When she's up high, it's like, I deal with them, but behind closed doors. I don't want it to
Mm-hmm.
be like a known thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was crazy. And she had no answer when Cleo said, if what circumstances, like what
Mm-hmm.
circumstances would that be that we would be
Yeah.
friends?
She was just sitting there looking stuck.
Very much.
But it's so sad because I feel like the way she operates, Maddie, it's not like, just exclusive to her. Like I feel like a lot of people,
Yeah.
a lot of, the
Show
same way,
that
like you said, they're
yeah,
down. She cool with Black people. They
it's
up.
cool until it's not. Yeah.
Hmm. And the fact that she went to Cleo's husband to tell him that Cleo was not dead speaks volumes. Like
Yeah.
she
She
is
was
willing to
desperate.
ruin relationships and lives just for her name in the newspaper, The Star. Like it wasn't even like she was trying to save herself. Like, she's snitching, trying to give up some information. She just wanted her name in a newspaper and she did not care what she did to get there.
Yeah.
When it came to Officer Platt, I think again the tale is just as old as time, the sexualization
Mm-hmm.
of Black men. And it made me think of Jeannie Mae, is that how you say her name? Off the real, when she
Girl, I have no
stated,
clue. I know what you're talking about though.
yeah, when she stated, I love Black guys, but for me, dark meat on the side, white meat keeps me mean and lean. Like I really feel like I can't believe she said that. And
I
Jeannie
can't
Mae.
either. Like that's insane. Did she run that line by anybody before saying it on air?
Like,
Like,
and she couldn't
and for
have.
Jeezy to marry her after that is
We
insane. And
could do
now
an
look at them.
entire podcast
Look
episode
at them.
about that because
Divorced.
yes, divorced, and that baby looked just like him because he got those like he has those eyes look like he has Asian descent too in him, but
Mm-hmm.
so the baby it just like has his whole face. Um, but yeah, I don't know why she. I mean, I know why she said it because she meant it, but the fact that it
Yeah.
aired and she was not for real canceled, and they were shocked when she
Yeah.
said that too. Like,
They
how half
were
the majority of your co-stars are Black, and you think that's in the
okay to
audience,
say.
you think that's
Right.
okay to say. But yeah, I believe that Maddie really shared those same sentiments. Like, okay, she likes her black meat on the side, her dark meat on the side. But when it comes to being out in public, who's she gonna be with? She wants it to be white and probably
Mm-hmm.
Jewish, really, really Jewish for
Yeah,
sure.
for
Um,
sure.
how did you feel about Cleo overall?
So I really empathized with Cleo, and it seemed like she was trying to do right by herself, her kids, her mama, her husband, and ultimately
Mm-hmm.
it got her in some tricky and sticky situations.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone seemed to pull through for her when it mattered. I
Mm-hmm.
also love that she wasn't revenge driven when it came to her dad taking all her money as a kid when she played the numbers game. And I just feel like she was an all around good woman. Like she even
Mm-hmm.
explained to like her son was saying how he heard about how his granddaddy took all the money and like she still loved him. Where I feel like
Mm-hmm.
most movies that we've seen, like there's that black hatred towards their family because that they did. But at the end of the day, she realized like
Right.
he's just human, just like any of us are.
Right.
How
Right.
did you feel about her?
I liked Cleo. I feel like the melanin was really popping this week with the pics. I thought Cleo was
Mm-hmm.
super pretty and smart. And at first, I was trying to connect and see what she really wanted in regard to her romantic relationship with Slap and her
Mm-hmm.
career, etc. I'm gonna ask you, how do you think? Do you think? What do you think she feels about Slap? Like, I
I
can't
think
really tell.
I think she really loved him, like, especially when she was crying and he was like, tell me what's going on. And she couldn't do it. And she was just crying. And you used one of the quotes lower down at that moment that they had.
Uh
But I
huh.
feel like she really did love him, but like, she just couldn't depend on him. It's like, I asked
Okay,
you to
I
do
think
one
maybe that's
thing. You
too.
couldn't do
Yeah.
it. Like, she really loved him, but like, she struggled.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
with trying to like, okay, set a good example for my kids and also be with the man I love. And like, it didn't help that her family didn't like him. You know, like he had a lot
Mm-hmm.
of things going against him. But like we see Slap ended up getting a full-time gig. Like
Mm-hmm.
he was just, that project potential, but like he actually made it come to fruition. So like very high respect for Slap because most men will
Right.
just tell you what they're gonna do and sell you dreams and never make it happen.
Right.
So it
Right.
was cool that he actually made it come through. How did you feel
Yeah.
about their relationship?
No, I was just a little confused because again, like it did seem like she loved him, but it was something there. But I think now that you say it, like it felt like she probably couldn't depend on him. So
Yeah.
that's probably what I was noticing,
Yeah.
in that energy. But
Yeah, because it was like Thanksgiving. She come home. He had the thing with his friends. Like nothing. It
right,
just was.
yeah,
Yeah, it was a
I
mess.
can see it. But yeah, it became clear at the end. And I did really enjoy her character, her son's character,
Yeah.
Teddy, too. How he was,
Yes.
yeah, I like Teddy. So it was
Yes.
good.
Ultimately, I loved the final scene slash
Mhm.
episode. They had me thinking that Reggie was just pure evil and he had killed Cleo and the son turned on Reggie, not realizing that Reggie was working with his mama. But nope,
Mhm.
it was all planned out. And this ultimately made the series worth watching from start to
Mhm.
finish was that final episode and scene.
Mhm. Yeah, like we said earlier, it starts off slow, but it definitely finished well.
Yes.
I did not know what to think of Reggie,
Hmm.
especially like they had him just when he was in the store with the girl when she went missing. Like I'm like, did he take her? Like it was
Yeah.
almost setting it up
They were
as if
trying to
he
act like
had.
he did. But after I
Yeah.
realized that he didn't kill his girlfriend or Cleo, then I realized,
Mhm.
like, nah, ain't no way he could have kidnapped that little girl. That
Right.
man did
Right.
do it.
Mhm. Weirdo. Ugh, stuff like that just
Yes.
makes my skin crawl. Like
I
any crimes against
know.
kids, I think it's just.
Yeah.
But yeah, Reggie did not disappoint me. The show had a lot of full circle moments for me too. Like one being the yellow dress with the blood Maddie originally ruined on Thanksgiving. And
Mm-hmm.
then she also ruined the second yellow dress that she literally bought off Cleo's back in the same spot when she was stabbed by Stefan. Stefan? That's how you say it? Stefan's mom.
Yeah, it was Stefan.
Yeah. So it basically was her in two dresses, two yellow dresses with the same blood stain. And then like
Mm-hmm.
the first song that Dora sung in the club is the same song that Cleo sang in Paris when she started her life over as the new Dora. So I thought that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And being that this is a novel and it ended on a high
Mm-hmm.
note, I don't foresee a second season. And I don't
Yeah.
think there should be. There should
Yeah,
not
no,
be.
no, no, no.
Don't
Everything
y'all
was
make a second
answered.
season out of this.
Yeah, please do
Yes.
not.
Unless y'all find a different lady in a different lake. There should not be a second season. Please. No. No.
Lady in the ocean, lady in the pond, but we don't need
Right,
another lady in the lake.
right. Yes. Yes. No. But yeah, that was all. So next week we will watch hold on.
Hmm.
Lord, I don't know. Oh, next week, okay, we're watching Bad Monkey. Lord, y'all, I can't read. Bad Monkey season 1, episode 5 through 8, which is on Apple
Uh-huh.
TV. Grotesquerie, I believe that's how you say it.
Yeah, I think so.
Episode 1 through 5, season 1, which is on Hulu, and that was recommended by Paris. And then Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is on HBO Max.
Yes. As always, guys, thank you so much for listening, tuning in. We really appreciate it. Keep sending us what you guys want us to review. And if you want to come on here, we love having conversations with you guys. We are so open to people coming on the pod and having conversations and discussions.
It's fun. I like it.
Yeah, it is. It is. It gives us a different perspective. It gives our viewers and audience, people that we can kind of talk to and bounce ideas off of and hear their ideas and respond. Because we all have a different kind of brain and how we view and see things. But yeah, anything else? We're good.
We need to start saying like the YouTubers, like and subscribe. Make sure you like
comment, like, and subscribe. Till next week. Bye, y'all.
Bye.